Why? She's a hunter, not a spin doctor.
Maybe she's oversight.
Or what? Smear campaign is an opening move, not an end game. I need the end game.
This is my favorite line. Luthen Rael shouts this line in panic, learning for the first time that the Empire had sinister plans for the planet Ghorman. An opening move to what? He doesn't know yet, but this will be the setting for most of the second season of Andor. When the first season ended, I made a video on Andor's ordinary evil. I spoke of the banality of evil, of how evil characters in Andor don't act out of malice, but out of professional integrity while being unaware or willfully ignorant of the political implications of their work. The concept of banality of evil was developed in the wake of a genocide, as you might already know, and while Andor's first season is about, at least in my analysis, the banality of evil, the second season is in large part about genocide. So, in this video, we're going to look into the Ghorman Massacre, how it was done, and why it happened. We don't see the planet Ghorman and its people before the fourth episode. However, it's mentioned by its architects of its destruction in the first episode. The introduction mentions Ghorman culture, their pride, and their economy. At first glance, this information isn't that important for the plot. Ghorman could have been incredibly different culturally and economically, and the story could have stayed the same. However, aside from world building, the importance of highlighting Ghorman culture is to show that the destruction of Ghorman doesn't only imply the death of thousands of people, but also the destruction of a whole culture with customs, symbols, monuments, and a history. We're not only talking here about state repression as we saw on Ferrix in Season 1. Andor Season 2 is setting the stage for a full-blown genocide. So, very quickly, what is a genocide? This video is getting so demonetized and shadow banned. Please check out patreon.com/thecanvas, like this video, share it with friends, and all that. Our equivalent of Palpatine is probably not going to let this slide. Okay, so very quickly, what is a genocide? Luckily for us, there was a convention on the prevention and punishment of the crime of genocide approved by the UN in 1948, which clears up the question of what a genocide is as follows. In the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. Killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. So, how does one conduct a genocide? In Andor, the first step is to coordinate it. We already mentioned the secret meeting, but in the secret meeting, the extermination of the Ghorman people is never spoken out loud. The meeting makes it a point that it's a hard decision to make, that they're trying to find alternatives, and that their energy initiative, term used to justify the destruction of Ghorman, will inevitably be resisted. Even if this meeting is highly confidential and secretive, there's still an appearance of care for the people of Ghorman. Nobody in this room is saying that they don't care for them or that they deserve harm. This performance could be to simply convince themselves that their actions are justified, or to make sure that other officers don't oppose such drastic measures. What also helps justifying their actions is the energy initiative, which, by the way, we find out is fake, because this initiative is important to the Emperor. So now that the justification for such actions is out of the way, we don't need to think about it anymore, and we can jump right into action. Propaganda is the first step taken by the Empire. A smear campaign against the Ghor has already been launched, using their pride and perceived arrogance against them. The consolidation of public opinion against the Ghor is essential for the Empire to undermine Ghorman sovereignty. Luthen Rael's A Smear Campaign is an opening move, not an endgame, is incredibly powerful because it reminds us that a smear campaign always has greater motives behind it. There's a reason why some people use their power to pressure you into hating a group. What Luthen is saying is that there's a reason for them to do it. But propaganda is far from the most effective tool to make the genocide acceptable. As per Lieutenant Miro's suggestion, the strategy to justify the Empire's aggression is by supporting a radical insurgency and have them do the wrong thing. The perfect catalyst to kickstart this insurgency is the armory, disguised as a simple annex. This annex gets the benefit of the doubt, casts a shadow on a monument of Ghorman's capital, and threads the line between a clumsy plan to build an annex and an open act of provocation. In Episode 7, we see the extent of the escalation 1 year after the Imperial Armory started to get built. This is where the Empire decides to go forwards with their plan to destroy Ghorman. We see that there's a curfew, there's talks of Ghorman terrorist attacks, and a false flag bombing. In Episode 8, the escalation continues. Cops are sent into a crowd of protesters, and a soldier provokes the mass killing. Cyril, the subject of my other video on Andor, realizes he was used to facilitate a genocide. Finally, we hear Ghorman begging for help. This is Palma 1. We are under siege. We're being slaughtered. The imperial murder of Ghorman has begun. We're being destroyed. This is Ghorman reaching for any open channel that can hear me. If you can hear me. If you believe in truth, if you have any faith left in truth, please mark this message and pass it forward. This is murder. I had to read that, by the way, because I didn't want to get copyright striked, and that's even worse than getting demonetized, but whatever. In this quote read by Drina, a member of the Ghorman Front, there's an interesting segment about truth. And the relationship between untruth and authoritarian atrocities is brought up, again, in Senator Mon Mothma's final speech. I believe we are in crisis. The distance between what is said and what is known to be true has become an abyss. Of all the things at risk, the loss of an objective reality is perhaps the most dangerous. The death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil. When truth leaves us, when we let it slip away, when it is ripped from our hands, we become vulnerable to the appetite of whatever monster screams the loudest. This chamber's hold on the truth was finally lost on the Ghorman Plaza. What took place yesterday, what happened yesterday on Ghorman, was unprovoked genocide. Yes, genocide. And that truth has been exiled from this chamber. Mon Mothma's final act of defiance as a senator is to call what happened on the Ghorman Plaza, or to make it short, Glaza, a genocide. She denounces the death of truth as the ultimate victory of evil and finally decides to say the truth, that there's a genocide happening in Glaza. Simply by naming it, she finds herself in extreme danger. The way that death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil, especially in Glaza, manifested itself in many different ways. Firstly, and this is perhaps the most obvious way truth slipped away, is through propaganda. This is self-explanatory, so we can move on. Secondly, the death of truth can be seen amidst imperial ranks. The Empire lies about its true intentions for Ghorman to its own high-ranking officers. Krennic approaches Dedra Meero asking her to stop lying, and she ends up lying to her lover, Cyril, which puts an end to their fascism-flavored relationship. Thirdly, the death of truth can be seen among the rebel camp as they have to conceal their true intentions, giving themselves different identities, and, perhaps more importantly, keeping the truth from each other. Luthen embodies this veil of uncertainty, of scheming. He's cultivating around himself an aura of doubt. Nobody can fully trust him because they don't know the truth behind his intentions. Fourthly, and finally, the most important way in which the death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil is shown in Andor is by showing how hard it is to address an issue without an objective reality. When there's an anti-Empire meeting in Ghorman, you see the different debates around, for example, the armory because of the veil of doubt surrounding it on whether it's even an armory or not. Everything is a rumor. Facts are hard to get by. It's hard to rally people around rumors. By the way, I'd also like to highlight Lizine, who during that meeting says that Palmo, Ghorman's capital, would turn into an open-air prison since the beginning. There was so much to talk about in this second season of Andor. I think the main theme of the series, at least the one I noticed, was sacrifice and the political efficacy of sacrifices. There's a lot of discussions on whether or not some actions are worth doing, if some risks are worth taking, if it's worth fighting for lost causes. But I really wanted the topic of this video to be about the depiction of a genocide. When Mon Mothma yells, "Yes, genocide," as everyone around her sounds appalled, it really felt like she was speaking to us, and she wasn't talking about Ghorman. In this political climate, with the genocide happening while opinions, facts, and entertainment get confused together, I felt like analyzing the second season of Andor as a call to name a genocide was very important and very fitting. Thank you so much for watching. I know this isn't the Albert Camus video as I said it would be in the last video. I guess these outros are just me lying just after making a video about untruth and stuff like that. But thank you. Thank you for watching the video, of course. Next video might be about Camus. I don't know. I'm not going to make any promises anymore. Who knows? Or maybe it's going to be the one on fascism. I have also other projects which you might enjoy. You'll see. I'll link them. I'll talk about them. I just got interrupted. So I just want to thank all my patrons, obviously, as always, and especially Roman Brandel, X-Town's Jeff, because these are the people, both the people I just named and the patrons in general, who help me make these videos possible by their crucial support. So thank you so much for all of you. If you want to support, you can, as I said, you can like and share my videos, but you can also check out patreon.com/thecanvas. It's always appreciated. Anyway, I got interrupted, so I gotta go see who's knocking on my window. Yeah, there's someone knocking on my window. They want my attention, so I'll go see them. And while I go see them, comment on who you think it is. Okay, no, don't do that. That's creepy. Just leave a comment saying whatever, please, for the algorithm. All right, see you later. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sticking to the end of the intro once again. All right, goodbye.